Now, since I started Scratch Golf Tips over 5 years ago, I get all different kinds of questions on all different aspects of golf. I would say of the most frequent I get asked is how do I get more backspin on my wedges? How do I get more backspin around the greens, chipping? So in this video, I'm going to be going over all of the tips and tricks that I know to give on how to get a little bit more backspin, a little bit more check on basic 20 to 25 yard chip shots just like this. Now, before we get into the mechanics, it's very important to talk about the club and ball selection. Now, I have my 60-degree wedge. This is a Callaway Jaws wedge, and I am going to start off by cleaning the grooves. These grooves are just a little bit dirty. The way that we get backspin in our golf game is when the golf ball compresses into the grooves of a golf club. So if you have gunk in your golf grooves, then you're not going to get much backspin. On that same note, if you're hitting a very hard golf ball, then you're not going to get as much backspin. You hear that soft golf balls like Callaway Super Soft, the Chrome Soft golf balls, the more the outer layer of that golf ball can embed itself into the grooves of your golf club. So I'm also going to be chipping here with the golf balls that I use on course. Today I have the Bridgestone E6. This is the ball that I've been using for the last couple of years. I love it. It's not too spinny off the tee, but I also feel like I have plenty of control. This is not necessarily a super soft golf ball, but it is a higher quality golf ball, and I am able to spin it a little bit. I will say that if you're hitting, limited flight practice balls or just practice balls that a golf course gives you, those balls are super beat up. You're not really going to be able to get much good spin out of there. So I would recommend bringing just a few nicer golf balls, if not even brand new golf balls, just slightly used golf balls that maybe hit the cart path once or something, and you don't want to play them on the course. But if we're going to be properly working on our chipping and our work around the greens, you want to be using golf balls similar to what we'll be using on the golf course. And then the final note on equipment is you want to have a fairly new golf club. If you have a golf club from 1995, those grooves probably aren't going to be too fresh. So having a higher lofted club, fairly new with clean grooves, that's just going to help right off the rip. I do have the Jaws club, which is a pretty high spin wedge regardless, so that's also working in my favor. So now that we've talked about the golf club and the golf balls, let's talk about what I'm going to do in terms of the actual golf swing to promote more spin. Now, the number one thing that I will always think about when over the ball and looking to get spin is acceleration through impact. That is the number one thing in terms of swing mechanics for me. If I'm hitting a really lazy swing like this, there just isn't any speed behind the ball. And if I'm not hitting the ball with speed, how do I expect that golf ball to spin back? It's not going to happen. So I like to keep it a little bit more succinct and really kind of accelerate through the ball. Now, the issue with that is on a 25-yard shot, it's very difficult. I can't have a full swing here. I can't really get after one. So it's going to have to be short and concise with a lot of weight on that front foot. Additionally, something we always have to evaluate is the lie. When you're out of the rough, the reason that you can't spin the ball is because there's grass that gets between the ball and the grooves of the club face. Again, we need the skin of the ball to get into these grooves. So if there's grass between it, then it's very difficult to do. Here, I'm in the fairway. This is Bermuda rough down here in Florida. This is Bermuda grass. So right now I'm in Bermuda fairway. It's a little bit patchy. I should have no problem with it, especially because I'm with the grain. If you're against the grain, if the grass is growing if the grass is growing away from the ball, then that is going to affect your spin negatively. If it's going with it, it's just going to kind of promote that leading edge of the club to slide along the grain a little bit more. And my final swing note is I like to come a little bit across the ball with an open face. That's going to allow the ball to spend a little bit more time on the face, and it'll come higher. If you hit the ball higher, it's going to just land softer in general. It's a stat that we refer to as angle of descent, which is the angle at which the ball comes into the ground. It's a stat that not many people look at, but if you're ever getting a fitting, pay close attention to your angle of descent. So keep in mind that angle of descent. I'm going to be accelerating through the ball with a slight open face. And for me, I also like to feel a little bit of wrist movement just to kind of get that acceleration really getting through the ball. This shot will not be too high because a flop shot, it's tough to get a lot of spin on that, because for me a flop shot is long and slow. It doesn't have a ton of acceleration. It still does have some acceleration, don't get me wrong. But let's see if with the ball and club that we've got, I have a slightly open stance because I'm going to be swinging across the ball. Hopefully if it lands, it's going to spin right. Let's see if we can pick one clean. All right, slightly open square face. Weight on that front foot. Accelerate just a little bit through impact to get that backspin. Yep, that had a nice check. Obviously it ran out just a little bit because I can't suck the ball back from 25 yards, and that ball didn't even go 25 yards. All right, let's try and carry this one just a little bit further. Nice downward impact, focusing on acceleration through the ball. Ooh, that could be really spinny. Just rolled out a little bit. Got a little bit of backspin on it, but not as much as I wanted. I must have caught it a little bit heavy. That's the thing about spin, is you really need to hit the ball well, because if you just catch it a little bit chunky, the ball will come out just fine. But if there's a little bit of dirt, a little bit of grass between that ball and the club face, it's not going to be able to spin. So if I hit that perfectly, I think that would have spun a little bit more, but that's just part of the game when you're playing for spin. Let's get one more good one here. Go into that blue pin in the back. Yeah, that one sat really nicely. That landed probably 1 yard in front of the hole, and then from there on that lower trajectory, it only rolled out about 2 or 3 feet. Thought someone just hit a ball at me. I just got a 4 call. That's okay though. The video is basically over. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope that you learned a little bit about getting backspin. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. I read and reply to all comments on these videos. Play well and take care.